Our success as an organization depends upon the culture of this organization. And since values define culture, we're going to start by looking at and understanding the 6 core values of Convention of States. The very first one, and what this episode is all about, is preserving constitutional originalism. Now, what is that? Originalism is interpreting the Constitution based on its original public meaning when it was enacted. What were the writers trying to achieve? What did the original audience understand it to mean? And then, what does that mean in our context? How is it best applied today? Well, you know what? My background is in Christian ministry, and I had to get a master's degree, and I studied a lot of biblical interpretation, biblical understanding, biblical interpretation. And that's the same principle we use in understanding Scripture. Did the Scripture mean when it was first written? What did the authors intend to achieve? What did the original audience understand it to mean? And how is that best applied today? Same thing is true when talking about constitutional originalism. Now, the late great Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia published an article on originalism way back in 1988. And he found, and I'm going to quote from this article, he found that, quote, the central practical defect of non-originalism, in other words, the main problem with not holding to constitutional originalism, is fundamental and irreparable, again quoting from Scalia, the impossibility of achieving any consensus on what precisely is to replace the original meaning once it is abandoned. Think about that. We hold to constitutional originalism. What did it mean when it was written, and how do we understand it today? And Scalia said, the main problem with not holding to originalism is coming to a consensus on, if we don't hold to that meaning, what are we going to replace it with? Therefore, Convention of States works to restore limited constitutional government, federalism, individual rights, states' rights, and the separation of powers on the federal level. That is our number one core value, preserving constitutional originalism.